Welcome to Storytime. I'm your host and author, Cherie Baker. Today we'll be reading from Coffee Cakes and Dragon Eggs, a cozy fantasy set in modern-day England. Enjoy! Chapter 16. Raj pressed his face to the crack the fremlin had just slipped through. An enormous, scale-covered eye peered back. Fluffin' heck! What was that? Something tapped his shoulder. Raj spun round, with his best defensive spell on his fingertips. "What are you doing?" The carpenter thumped her hands on her hips, making fine golden sawdust rain into the packed earth floor. A sneeze tickled the back of Raj's nose, and he let the spell slip away. This person wasn't a magical threat, just a source of allergens. He hooked his thumb at the door. "What's in there?" She shrugged. "Not sure. It's always locked." "I thought I saw something move." "Well, that's not surprising. It's an old building near a river. Probably a rat." Raj nodded, but what he'd seen was not a rat. It was much too big, and it had scales. "Could you put me in touch with the owner? I know a good exterminator." "Violet don't like her numbers given out to just anyone. Let me give her a ring." "Violet?" A sick feeling washed over Raj. This could be the place Toby'd wanted him to visit. "Would that be Violet Shepherd?" The carpenter nodded as she dialed. Raj swallowed hard. This was too big to be a coincidence. The fremlin had brought him here for a reason. Since they were notorious for playing vicious practical jokes, Toby and Violet could be the victims of some elaborate scheme. Between that and the large eyeball, there was obviously some kind of magical mystery hiding here. He'd have to find out what it was, which meant sticking around. The carpenter shoved her phone into a dusty pocket. "Violet says to meet you up at the main door." "And how would I go about renting one of these?" Raj waved at the row of white doors lining the hall. The carpenter wrinkled her nose, obviously not believing he could do anything that required manual labor. "Go on, talk to Violet. I've got cabinets to make." The carpenter snapped her goggles back on and turned away. She'd obviously finished speaking, and there was no way to follow that fremlin through the locked door, so Raj took one last glance around the warehouse and headed outside. By the time Raj had climbed back up the hill to the front of the building, a white-haired lady dressed in a colorful floral print and pink trousers was waiting for him by the grand entrance. She had a kind but world-weathered face, the sort that had seen the trials of life and let them run off, took in strays, always had a pot of tea ready, baked cookies for her local kids, and was willing to listen, offering a helping hand. The sort of person who was vulnerable. An oily, bitter feeling passed over Raj. Toby's request to get a recording of her wouldn't be good for this woman, but he didn't know enough to warn her about it. "Now, Mr. Violet leaned on the iron railing, stretching out her hand. "Curzon, Raj Curzon." He shook the old dear's hand. The firm grip was a complete contrast to her wheezy whisper of a voice. "So, Mr. Curzon, what brings you to Shepherd's Mill?" Raj needed to find that missing fremlin, but he couldn't say that. His mind scrambled to think of a plausible excuse. I restore antique clocks and collect things, coffee pots and vintage clothing. I'm running out of space at home. I'd like one of your little workshops." Raj snapped his mouth shut. It was all true, but the nugget of trivia sounded pathetic. Why on earth had he babbled like that? He was normally more composed when speaking to non-magical people. "Very good. Won't make a mess. I'll add you to the waiting list." Violet pulled out an old candy bar-style phone from her pocket. A waiting list was no good. He needed to get inside the building now. Raj churned through ideas until his mind latched onto the most obvious one right in front of him. Although it sprang out of the blue on him, he couldn't help but feel it was rather wonderful. He waved at the faded tea and cake for sale sign above Violet's head. "I'm between jobs. Would you need anyone to work here?" "Oh, I had to shut down. Not a spring chicken any longer." Mrs. Shepherd took a deep breath, followed by a rattly cough. "That is a shame. I'm sure you had a lot of visitors. The views are amazing out here, and they don't have that in town. The mill is right here on the towpath. Anyone out for a walk would come past." "Oh, I didn't want to close, really. Are you any experience running a cafe?" "Well, not running one, but I know how to make excellent coffee, and I'm a croissant connoisseur, so—" "There's a nice Italian bistro 5 minutes walk away. They make lunch and those fancy coffee things. My cafe only serves tea and cake." That sounded a bit limited, but he only needed to get inside long enough to deal with the magical anomaly, not fix her business model. "You know, you could put out a sign saying your restaurant's dog-friendly." Mrs. Shepherd shrugged. "I'm not sure about dogs, but the aspect's rather lovely. You're right. Most folks even raved about it. I like the look of you, Mr. Curzon. What do you say start tomorrow?" That was not good at all. The fremlin could kill the old dear by then and nip off to his next prank without leaving a trail. Could I have a look around today, so I could make some plans?" She nodded. "That's the spirit. We'll be up and running again in no time. My baker really missed making cakes. She makes everything from scratch, then bakes it over an actual fire. Gives them a smoky flavor." Raj smiled politely. Thank goodness he didn't really need to make a profit. Smoked cakes sounded disgusting. If you've enjoyed this section, please like and subscribe. New chapters will be recorded weekly. Alternatively, check out the description for places to purchase the book.